Like, I think more meaningful collabs
Extravagant.
make sense. Like,
Yeah.
you guys could do in-person collabs, which I think are cooler than
I do like that more.
recorded ones.
We should do an in-person collab, Brandon.
Yeah.
Shirtless.
Or wearing shirts as pants. I think that would be, nobody's
Well-
done that before.
What does that mean? Like, you have shirts, but with pants on
No,
your shirt?
you wear your shirt
As your
as
pants.
pants. So
Yes.
those armholes, those are leg
Oh.
holes now. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
I'm
Yeah.
trying to picture this. I understand now.
Don't. Don't try and picture it.
Hi there, and welcome to the JRPG Pursuit, a podcast for all things JRPGs. I'm Emily,
I'm Branden.
I'm Abdallah.
and today we are talking about one of the most beloved franchises in JRPGs, and that is the Tales of games. And we thought this was a good opportunity to talk about Tales of games from the past, the present, and maybe the future. So I think there's
Future.
a wide scope of all things Tales here, and we all have different experiences of Tales that we want to share with you guys as we
Yeah.
kind of just talk about this franchise that has been around for at least 30 years now.
Right. And yeah, so like Emily, you're a relative newcomer to the
Yes.
series, right?
Yes, I played one.
You've played Exilia. Is that right?
I have played the Exilia
Exilia. Okay.
HD remaster game.
Okay.
Okay.
And Dallah, how many of the games do you know have you played?
Oh, man.
Like, are there any notable ones that you've missed, I guess, is maybe a better way to frame
I don't
it.
think I haven't played Tales of Destiny 2.
Okay.
Okay.
I played
Which one? The real
No,
one?
I just mean the Western released ones.
Oh, okay. Any one of... I haven't played a lot of the PS2 ones, actually.
Oh, so like Abyss and...
Okay.
Abyss.
Legendia.
I have Legendia. I've actually never played it, so...
Okay.
Have you played Hearts R and the Vita?
No, I have not played that one either.
Okay.
All right, let's consider handheld ones and PS2 ones. Your
Yeah.
Black Holes.
Black Holes, yes.
I have played every Western released Tales of game. I've dabbled a little bit into like fan translations and even just like straight up just the Japanese version because I have some Japanese versions of some of them. So like I have Tales of Rebirth on the PSP, never came out over here. Tales of Destiny 2, things like that.
So you're a spec expert.
I am
Token
as
expert.
close as this podcast gets to an expert, we'll say.
Correct.
So we've got a nice spectrum of experience levels with the series, so I feel like that should make for some pretty good conversations.
I think so.
Yeah, the Tales of series, you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know when we can talk about our first experiences with it. Like for me, I remember reading. It was either like a Nintendo Power or Electronic Gaming Monthly or some gaming magazine in the 90s and seeing Tales of Fantasia being advertised as coming out, not advertised, but like they were talking about it and here's upcoming games for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And this game is out now on the Super Famicom and it's great. It's like real-time combat, action combat, but like it's like a RPG style game and it looked beautiful. It's like at that era of the Super Nintendo where like the sprite work was just so good.
so good.
And the backgrounds were like very painterly and it just looked really cool. So I was very excited. And then
Just never.
nothing happened. We did
For
not
like a while.
we did not receive it. We eventually
So
did
sad.
get Tales of Fantasia officially in the
GBA.
West on the GBA.
The
and it's
inferior
a terrible
version.
port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
a
tried
terrible
playing it
port.
when I was like, I tried playing it through like emulation back in the day because I never had it, and I just like couldn't get into that version of it. So it's always been one of the
Yeah.
games I've wanted to play, and I know there's translations out for it. You can play it now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Prior to that announcement, I was wondering, were there a lot of action RPGs on the market in the West, or not so much? Did they like compare it to maybe like the next Zelda, but an actual RPG, or how is it framed?
in my experience, which is relatively robust for the time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like action RPGs were Secret of Mana,
yes,
Illusion of Gaia, kind of.
Soul Blazer.
Soul Blazer. I
that
didn't play
whole,
Soul
like-
Blazer as a kid, but Illusion of Gaia for
Yeah.
sure. Were there other like because like, you know, people would have classified, I think even back then, Zelda as like action adventure.
Yeah.
They wouldn't necessarily have classified it as RPG, or there would have been arguments about it even then.
I think so.
Action RPGs were not super well represented.
No.
Like there were action RPGs, but they weren't thought of as action RPGs. Like even as far back as like the NES. So like you had like the game like Willow. On the NES is kind of like Crystallis. Like these were like action RPGs, but at the time we just didn't like. There was no language around that really, because like
I think people would have probably compared them to Zelda.
I think so.
Yeah.
The most obvious point of comparison, but like you had things like experience levels and
exactly
inventory that was like consumables and stuff. In a lot of those games. But so for me, like this, regardless of like the landscape of action RPGs, Tales of Phantasia looked so different because. It was almost like a fighting game. Not really, but like you go into a battle and you are on this 2D plane where you're moving left and right and attacking, and enemies are attacking you in real time and you're fighting back. And, you know, you have control over your main character. You can, I think, switch. I think at the time you could still switch other characters. But otherwise you could like use, you know, pause the action to go into a menu and use a spell or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was pretty... unique, even just in that existing landscape
very novel
of games. So, would have been very cool to get that.
That's
on
why you're
Super
excited,
Nintendo.
right?
Yeah, it had voice acting for some reason.
And the story was actually really like interesting. Like if you look into it, like it's a very like interesting story that's like very kind of like dark, very dark story.
I wonder why it never got localized. Was it? Do you think the localization itself, the voice acting aspect, or they just thought, the audience isn't ready for it?
When they brought it over to the GBA in the West, do you know if they had voice acting on that cart? Was it still in Japanese? Did they do anything with it? Do you know?
Honestly, I can't remember.
Like, I don't recall.
For some reason, like my memory of like the voice acting is, I don't think it did because like
maybe they muted it.
The GPA's sound in general like just struggled.
It was not good. The GBA sound
maybe it did little like like little
maybe
little muffled
little
stuff.
Animal Crossing sound.
I should look into that because I don't remember. I should start that up and see.
And then so I finally did play it. This was the origin, actually. This is kind of funny. This is the origin of my video game collecting. Was the Tales of series. My brother was like, you got to play these games. He had been playing them his whole life. I missed them entirely on the PlayStation 2. Like I just never thought to get them. He loved them. He was like, you got to try it. And I was like, well, if I'm going to try this, I'm going to start from the beginning because that's my modus operandi.
That's what you do.
So I had just bought the Super NT from Analog, and I jailbroke that and was able to sideload ROMs. So I sideloaded the English translated Tales of Phantasia, played it through, and it was good. It was good. Like I think if I had played it as a teenager, it would have friggin' blown my mind. Right? I mean, going back to it, it's like it's a 16-bit. Like it's you know, it's not the easiest thing to play. It's the era that it was in.
And if you had to stop your menu to do spells, that seems a little
like it was still cool, but you know, it was a product of its time for sure. Still revolutionary in a lot of ways. But yeah, that was the origin of my game collecting. Was I played that and I was like, okay, I'm going to play all the Tales games. I'm just going to buy all the Tales games and play them. So I started collecting all the Tales of games, and then whoops, now I have this. So, yeah.
There it
goes. That's history.
It escalated pretty quickly.
It escalated quickly.
Very quickly.
But Dallah, what about you? Do you remember your origins with Tales?
Yeah, I think the first time I played it was on the PS1. So it Tales of
Destiny.
Yeah. That was the first one I ever played, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I never like kept it going in the PS2 era, because like I for some reason I skipped the PS2 era. I think I was like busy playing other games, and I just like forgot to like just get into Tales of again.
You're excited for Kingdom Hearts and everything else.
Kingdom Hearts and like Xenosaga and all these other things. Yeah, exactly. I was playing Radiata Stories, but then I got back into it as the next generation kicked in. But yeah, I think with Tales of Destiny, I really loved that 2D style of fighting. because it's like really interesting, like because at the time like you had like let's say Star Ocean, even the second story, and it was still kind of like a plane that you're fighting on, and it was cool to see like because like it's fun because like you can do like these really interesting dodges, and it's all like it's a little bit more simpler than 2D, and I thought that was like a good aesthetic, and I always like because like it was very much anime, like inspired. So that was kind of like I love the artwork for it. I love the character designs. I liked
all the cutscenes are so impressive too.
Yeah, and so like with Tale of Destiny, I enjoyed a lot of that, and then as I got back into it later on, I liked most every game I played. I mean, Tales of they're not like I think we've talked about it before. It's like they're not like S tier games. But
they're comfort food.
Exactly. They're just like they're feel good games. Like even though if like the story is not as like feel good in terms of like
it hit some very dark points.
There's some
dark.
Yeah.
If I
there's
just go
darkness
by
there.
The one I played, lots of darkness.
Exactly. And I loved like the character writing, and I love that like the character discussions and the things like that. You get really like a look at the whole like how the characters kind of come together and they like have a personality. Where you didn't get a lot of that with a lot of different games, with like the different like, what do you call, QT or what are they called in Tales of games, where you're private events. Like private events. What are they called? I don't know why. Skits? Yeah,
okay.
skits.
I was like,
yeah.
Why?
For some reason, I was like blanking out.
When you said that, like, my mind just like evaporated.
Because like I had it.
I was like obviously skits. They're gonna say skits, right? No.
Yeah. I was like trying to think of it. I'm like, I know the Star Ocean. Like for some reason, the Star Ocean name came to mind, but I couldn't think
that
of.
That was stuck in my head too after you said it. Yeah. So the skits. All the skits, characters that are just basically there to provide character development and funny little, conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I love that.
Yeah, so that's that basic mind.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like, especially around the skits. And, like, I think we all come from a background of really enjoying character interactions in our RPGs. Like, we talk about extensively, like, the Trails games, not to be confused by Tales. I know a lot of people like to
often is
confuse.
Yes.
Trails, Tales, they're different.
They are.
But it's really cool to see how the Tales of series, especially through the skits, really bring that camaraderie of your party members and through all these, like, little slice of life moments or just comedic moments. So very satisfying when you go through those. I will speak from my experience with Tales of Xillia, maybe a bit more extensively later on, but I feel like that was a good one to start with, just to get the flavor of what is modern Tales games like. Though I do know the most recent one, Tales of Rise, is very different, which we could get to later as well. But it gives you kind of like a sense of where did Tales of games really set themselves apart, as a franchise, both with their combat style as well as how they have their world building with their characters as the centerpiece, really.
Yeah, they have taken a kind of hybrid of like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest in terms of how the stories are told, in that for the most part they are disconnected, standalone.
Yes. Yeah,
every entry is its
like
own
anthology
thing in its own world. But every now and then you'll get games that are actually connected to each other by place, or typically it's by taking place in the same world but in a different era, so like a Dragon Quest kind of connection, right? So you get like Symphonia, Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, taking place in the world of Tales of Phantasia, the first game. I think as a prequel. I think Symphonia is a prequel.
I think so.
Then you get Tales of Berseria taking place in the same world as Tales of Zestiria, again as a prequel, like a big 1,000 years in the past kind of deal. But they even with those like kind of loose fun connections, they are basically like every game is its own fun standalone
self-contained
story, beginning, middle, and end. Occasionally you'll see a direct sequel. Tales of Xillia famously has its sequel featuring Luger. His name is Luger. Just want to say that. Tales of Xillia 2. Luger is the main character. His name is a
great name.
It's a great name.
Awesome name. Honestly, also, a lot of the names of just the games themselves, I'm like, where did you come up with Xillia or Zestiria?
Yeah, like they never say the name of the game in the game itself. It's like doesn't ever come up. So that, like, is that
Origins
the name of the world?
of Unknown.
Is it like? Yeah, I don't know what those names are supposed to mean. Is it the like Berseria? I remember them saying in an interview, it's like, oh, it's supposed to evoke like a berserker, like Velvet is a berserker type character.
They make up words. Oh, I see.
So they're just kind of making up words, I think. It doesn't really fit.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot in like in Japanese, like when they're making up like English, like or like quote unquote like using
English
like
adjacent
letters. Yeah,
yeah.
Whatever sounds good, it's like, oh, this is like sounds like an English word, and it sounds like cool, so we'll just use that.
It's amazing how like hit or miss Japanese like English word salad can be. Sometimes it's very good. Sometimes it's terrible, but sometimes it is very good.
That's true.
Yes. I think Octopath Traveler is like one of the best examples of Japanese English word salad that like just sounds good. I love it. It sounds great, but it is nonsense. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so the Tales of games kind of their own. Each one's their own little unique thing, little story, and you know, as much as we've said like Trails with an R is, you know, anime the game. I feel like Tales of has a strong argument to make for being like
even more
anime in game form. Like as tropey as some games, some, you know, things in the Trail series can be, Tales of takes it to the next level sometimes.
Yes.
I think it helps that because there are such condensed stories and they're not super long experiences usually. They just pack so much of it in like minute by minute. You'll get kind of a new trope introduced, and so that's why it feels like anime personified kind of in a game.
Yeah. It feels like shonen, like the idea of like
very,
a shonen
very
game.
like going on an adventure with your friends kind of feel.
Yeah.
Almost without exception. There's a few games that kind of break that mold. Berseria, notably, kind of breaks that. It was kind of a big deal that it did break it. I remember the advertising around it was like, oh, this is different. Like, this is pretty strange for Tales. It's interesting how the series progresses. So in the beginning, you have, you know, Tales of Fantasia and then Tales of Destiny on the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1. And then they made Tales of Eternia. I think that was the third one, right?
I think so.
Sounds right.
Pretty sure.
Which was released over here as Tales of Destiny 2. Not to be confused, well, frequently confused with the actual game called Tales of Destiny 2, which was a sequel to Tales of Destiny. But Tales of Eternia is honestly one of my, like, that was the game that hooked me on the series, that I was like, okay, I like this. Like, I am actually on board. Tales of Destiny, I found, I know it has a lot of fans, but to me, I just kind of found it a little dull. Like, I wasn't really connecting with the story, the characters, even the way I did with Fantasia.
It didn't excite you. Yeah.
This was not exciting to me, really. By the time, when I put in Eternia, though, like, there was such a shift in the graphical presentation, for one thing. Like, it was beautiful now. Where Tales of Destiny and Fantasia were both, like, very tile-based, 16-bit looking games. The fact that Destiny is a 32-bit game, technically, it kind of is like, well, it has CD quality music sometimes, and it has like an anime intro, but otherwise it could be on the Super Nintendo. It's not a super
Nothing
powerful,
too complex.
It's not a very complicated looking game. But Tales of Eternia is like beautiful hand painted environments. You know, the sprites are a lot more detailed and bigger. There's like basically almost full voice acting. This is the first time I ever saw this in a PlayStation game, where almost every single significant story scene was fully voice acted. For the time, that was just like
mind-blowing.
That didn't happen.
Yeah,
that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it was like, it really kind of broke some significant barriers, and I'm like, man, I kind of wish that I had played it when it was new. Because I think I really would have been, again, blown away by it. Like, it was still cool to play it as an adult, but like if I'd played it as a 16-year-old, I think it would have been like, dang, this is the new hotness.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like, I know we didn't touch on it for like the history of like Tales of as well, is that it comes from like, you know, a lot of the same developers from who made Star Ocean. Like, they kind of branched off. It was like one entity. And one wanted to go more kind of like fantasy, like medievalish, almost like kind of aesthetics, and one wanted to do like hard sci-fi, like let's just do some sci-fi stuff. and had some like different things. So like it's interesting to see because like there's definitely connections there and definitely connections in like mechanics and like
they share a lot of DNA. They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was a big Star Ocean fan, so like that kind of just like kind of carried over.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was created by, was it Wolf Team?
I think so.
Tales of Fantasia. Yeah. It was based loosely on a novel that one of them had written.
Really?
Yeah. And then the team split and became, was it Tri-Ace? Is that where Tri-Ace came from?
Yeah, Tri-Ace.
And then they started developing Star Ocean, and then this other team eventually, if they were not already part of Bandai, they were absorbed at some point, and now Bandai Namco obviously runs that show. It's interesting to see those two games running parallel, despite Star Ocean having like half as many entries for some reason. I guess they just didn't have the financial backing that Tales of did with Bandai.
Yeah, I think Bandai went
or whoever it was
going out.
I think so. At the time, I can't remember if Bandai had them.
I don't know when it became a Bandai property, if it was always or if it was later, but
because I know Namco, like maybe they're part of like Namco previously before Bandai Namco. Like
that's what.
merged.
Yeah, I keep saying Bandai. I meant Namco for sure.
Yeah, because like
So when was it that, especially in the West, things started becoming more popular, like with the Tales games? I want to say maybe Symphonia was maybe the breakout one, but correct me. Okay, it was Symphonia.
I think you're right. Symphonia was, Symphonia came out obviously on the GameCube originally.
Yes.
And it was one of like four, this generation of consoles had so little.
Yeah.
Well, not the generation, the GameCube in general, and specifically the GameCube had very few JRPGs.
Yes.
And here
even
was this
PS3.
exclusive, right? The exclusive Tales of Symphonia. It was the first game in the series to do like 3D in terms of like the battles took place in 3D. They were still on a 2D plane. You still just moved left and right, but like now characters would move into the background and
yeah.
So it was a big graphical step up, even if it technically wasn't moving the gameplay in a different direction yet.
Yeah.
Tales of Symphonia was a big step. The PS2, this is kind of where the series had a brief kind of flirtation with kind of a branching sort of evolution.
Oh, yeah.
There was the main team, the Tales of team, that was making like Symphonia and wanted to make these like 3D entries, push the series in that direction.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there was a desire by some people at the company to continue doing these like more 2D focused games, not necessarily like in graphical presentation, but in the combat, having just a 2D plane as your combat field. So that's how you get a game on PS2 like Tales of Legendia, which is one of my personal favorites in terms of the story and the character work. Like that's one that I actually would put higher than most of the games in the series in terms of its story and character work, because they really did something pretty unique and special with that game. It was not as popular, I think, because it was being held up against Symphonia and games that were moving more flashy 3D. And here it was like doggedly sticking to 2 dimensions for the combat. And it's like, oh, why would I want to play this? This is garbage. Give me the 3D game or whatever. But Legendia is great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
What I find so interesting also, as an aside, about Tales of games, everyone has their own like top 3. Like there are like at least 10 Tales of games. They always get like, I always hear different people saying, this one's my favorite. No, this one is my favorite. Like there's so much variety in them. Like I don't think there's like a collective, this is the definitive Tales of game, like the representative. Because not only are they kind of different, I think, I want to say, in each era of Tales of games, but the stories and the characters, you really become attached, I think, to certain ones. And that's what carries you.
Yeah.
I agree.
That makes sense. Because like it depends on like which one is your first or which one you really got hooked you in, and that's like what's going to be nostalgic for you.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Final Fantasy in that way. A lot of people like their favorites, their first. Which
exactly.
Sure. But even then, like I do feel like if you play more of them, there's going to be some sort of story or some sort of character that you're really going to grow attached to, and that will be kind of the immersion winner, if you will, of your favorites that rises to the top.
Yeah, for me, exactly. It was like, because a lot of the tales of storytelling up to the point where we're at now in the history has been a little more like straightforward, like we kind of said, shonen anime, not being super complex. No. When I got to a game like Tales of Legendia that had such a out there premise and like this really rich seeming backstory that like they, I think, very wisely didn't delve into. They're like, here's this world. Isn't this mysterious? Don't you want to know more? Too bad. We're not going to tell you. Like, you're just going to live in this world, and you're going to have questions, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And because the characters were so much more layered than I think the previous games had been, I think that's why that one for me stands out as a personal favorite. It's not from a gameplay perspective. I think it's basically hot garbage when it comes to gameplay. But musically, okay. Well, we can't talk about Tales. Since I brought it up, and I didn't even mean to. We can't talk about Tales without talking about the work of famed composer Motoi Sakuraba.
This is Brandon's hot take, by the way.
This is my hot take. I think Motoi Sakuraba's music in the Tales of series in particular, just only in the Tales of series, is garbage. I think he is phoning it in. I think he is hardcore phoning it in. And there's even evidence to suggest that he was asked to phone it in. We don't need to go into the conspiracy.
Did he do
theories.
Exilia, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, I like the Exilia music.
He did all of them except Legendia, and then he did most of Zestiria except for a few tracks that were by the composer of Legendia, who's like one of my favorite composers, Go Shino.
Okay.
So yeah, the melodies in most of the Tales of games, I just don't find memorable in any way. Like in every other series, I feel like in just about every other major series of games, regardless of the composer, there are tracks that I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. I think about that one. I remember that one. In the Tales of series, it's like the battle against the spirits from Tales of Fantasia that gets reused in Tales of Symphonia. That's the only one that I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I just don't think he makes. He's
that memorable in Exilia. Sorry, that's the only one I know. I thought some of the character themes were nice.
Yeah, and they're nice and they're appropriate. Like the music fits the scene, but it feels much more like, when I watch a movie, unless it's like a John Williams score where it's like very obvious, like you can pick out the melody because it's John Williams has a really good way of like using melodies in his scores to like make them stick with you. You don't think about the music so much in movie scores unless it's exceptional or strange. That's kind of how I feel about Motoi Sakuraba on the Tales of games, where it's like it's very fitting and appropriate for the scene, but once it's done, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not going to listen to that. Yeah, on my Spotify or whatever. It's
kind of like, as you mentioned, like the cinematic sort of, it's supposed to blend in with the background and not be it's a main character. Kind of like the Breath of the Wild, like that soundtrack is not supposed to be anything main character except maybe like the last fight.
A little bit, yeah. It's mostly like atmospheric, actually. Yes. Breath of the Wild kind of takes it in that other direction where it's just kind of, it becomes part of the environment, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tales of... the music to me isn't memorable, is the thing, with the exception of Tales of Arise, where the main theme of Tales of Arise is just Back to the Future. It's Back to the Future. Like,
I need to listen to that.
It is 100% just the Back to the Future theme, and I'm like, how did he? There's no way he hasn't seen this movie. Like, did nobody on the production team of this game be like, buddy,
wait a minute.
That's Back to the Future, right?
He's going to be like, never heard of it. Never heard of it.
It's that.
I've never seen it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Never heard of it.
But yeah, so Legendia, like also having Go Shina music for the first and kind of only time. Like I said, he contributed a little bit to Zestiria, but it's just like really makes that game stand out for me. So I think that's why it is...
one of your favorites.
One of my favorites, yeah.
I think I agree with you on the music aspect because, like, it's the least thing I remember from playing a Tales of game. Like I'm never offended by any of the tracks. I think the tracks are like fine. They're like they play into the game as you would think they would. But like I've never been, inclined to look them up again. I've never,
That's the thing about it, and I think that's what makes me mad about it, which it shouldn't, but it makes me mad. Is he's a great composer. He Motoi Sakuraba is like legitimately an all-timer. He's very good at making very good music. And for whatever reason, for the Tales of series in particular, he does not.
Drops the ball.
He holds back. He holds back, whether it's by his own choice or whether he's been asked to. I don't know.
Maybe it's like a budget thing where like they're like, hey, we pay you enough for you to go like this good or like this good.
Yeah, you're coming in up here. We would like you to be down here.
I can imagine it's the budget thing.
At this high, you're too expensive there. Like we need you to just phone it in.
Could you phone it in a little bit? Because Q4 is not looking good.
Exactly.
I don't know, but that's my big Tales of rant that has gotten me some fire directed my way in the past. But
that makes sense.
A little bit of and because he has a lot of fans, and like I said, I do think he's a very good composer, just not in the Tales of games.
Well, aside from music, would you say that we've seen a lot of like progress and progression, I guess, as we move past the PS2 GameCube era into entering the PS3 and mostly the PS3 and beyond?
I think when it was kind of like the tail end of the PS2 when we had Tales of the Abyss, which I'm pretty sure was the one that introduced actual 3D movement to the series. Do you know if I'm right about that, Dallah? I think it was Abyss.
I think that's the first one I remember that you can move
pretty sure,
in 3D.
Yeah, you could like hold down a button and move around into the background and stuff.
Exactly.
That was like a big evolution, and that kind of drove the PS3 versions of Tales and onto the present to an extent with Tales of Arise being a fully 3D action RPG. I do think ultimately the right choice was made. Like I said, I like Tales of Legendia, but not really for the gameplay. I think the 3D movement and combat makes way more sense to differentiate this series from other action RPGs. Like it's the interesting thing about Tales of, and they've kind of been consistent with this, is it's not an action RPG in the sense of something like Visions of Mana, where you're running around a world and you're fighting enemies there on the world. This is a game where, a series where you are kind of going into like almost random battles. In the old days, they were random battles, right? Like from the PS era back, like they were random, truly, like old Final Fantasy games, Dragon Quest. But you would go then to a battle arena where you would run around and fight. So I think, the thing that has really made the gameplay of Tales of stand out from other series is how it is basically a turn-based JRPG in every way except the combat. Like, if you didn't see the combat in a Tales of game and just saw other, like going around a town, walking around the world map, doing these, inventory management, you would assume that this is a turn-based RPG until you get into combat. And you're like, oh, this is very different than other action RPGs just in its presentation.
Yeah, and I feel like there's more depth to its battle, like that you wouldn't normally see in an action RPG of like, with Visions of Mana, things like that. Like they're more like those kind of action RPGs are more straightforward in terms of like you fight, you have some special attacks that you do, but like there's a lot more like nuances with like the action combat in Tales of games where you can do like
combos.
You can do combos, you can juggle things, you can just like there's a lot of things that you can play around with. It can be like the nice thing about it is like you can get as deep as you want with it, or you can kind of waddle in the shallow area.
You can button mash a little bit.
Yeah, you can button mash. You can get through most of it that way if you really wanted to do it. But for those who enjoy,
it's
like
traditional in the sense that you can grind and level up too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like so there's that aspect to it. Like I think that's what drives a lot of people like who enjoy action based combat like in RPG mechanics is that like it kind of gives you the best of both worlds a little bit and from that perspective.
Yeah. And I think also, like, because of the direction they went, especially in the PS3 era, it was kind of like the standout JRPG series on the PS3. Because there's not much on there, but it's still,
I have that in my notes. I have that in my notes to talk about how Tales basically kept the PlayStation 3 afloat from a JRPG perspective.
It's true.
It's funny.
Like, it was between that.
It's not a AAA. Like, you don't think of Tales of as AAA, really. Like, Arise is a little bit different, I would say. But, like, prior to Arise, it was always kind of thought of as maybe AA at best, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of not super budgety, but a little bit budgety JRPG.
It always felt that way. I don't know what their budget was, but it definitely didn't feel like they were
not the most polished, but still rough around the edges, but still fun.
But still good. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't pushing the envelope like, what Square was doing with Final Fantasy games, throughout that era of like, Final Fantasy 13 and things like that. They were always trying to push like the graphical, push like the systems to its max. Where like Bandai Namco with Tales of felt like very, I felt
like they stuck with their core. Like, we're good at making interesting stories that have twists and turns, very dark things, but also levity, like, happy moments like with the skits and things. We know how to refine this combat system because people, if they played a lot of these games, they get used to it, right?
Exactly.
We kind of do similar kind of things. Like, they tweak the systems a little bit every time to make it a little bit more, like, nuanced, right?
Yeah.
So you have to relearn it a little bit. But for the most part, the core mechanics are all still there. Was my interpretation.
Yeah,
I feel like they know their fans a little bit. Like they know what they like. For the most part, there's some games like this. Exactly. Like some games like Zestiria. There's like a few games here and there that they like experimented with in terms of like changing things up a little bit and
received.
That's a reason why they're not received as well. And
to various, like that's interesting. That brings up an interesting point about the battle systems. How they do maintain a lot of the same DNA from game to game. But there are actually, like, I would say 2 distinct battle systems in the Tales of series. Not even 3 if you count the 2D linear plane thing. But we'll just say in the 3D games. There is the, Exilia system, Vesperia, that kind of, like,
Graces.
classic runaround.
Yeah.
And then there is the Graces F and Zestiria system.
Oh,
Graces F and Zestiria are different enough, and I would say more hardcore. Like the combat in Graces F and in Zestiria is much more technical than the other games, and a lot harder in a lot of ways to master. And that's like, I remember I loved Graces F. Graces F might be my favorite Tales. It's hard to
tentatively
say.
Favorite.
Tentatively a favorite. And I was getting ready to play Zestiria, and I had already heard the discourse that everybody hated Zestiria. Yeah. And I remember talking to my brother after I started it, and I was like, I don't get why people hate this. This is like Graces F. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's like Graces F. It's the same basic combat system, which I thought was great. Like, it was hard to adjust to because it was new. Yeah. But like once I adjusted to it, I was like, oh yeah, this is actually really cool. I really, really like this.
So do people not like Zestiria because of the characters or something?
I think it's the story people were not as
they were like, it's
big of a fan of, maybe.
It's mid.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but
I haven't played it. So.
It was.
I didn't mind it. Yeah.
I didn't dislike the story. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I liked it, and like once you play Berseria, it kind of like makes it even.
It feels
more
even better after you play Berseria.
Exactly.
Yeah, you fill in some of the gaps and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, or I was going to say, like, I guess from the outside looking in, they look very similar combat, but it's interesting how there's some nuances into how the combat goes. But I guess as we approach the PS4, PS5 era, any like notable shifts maybe prior to when Arise came out? Not so much.
Prior to Arise is Arise is where it really has changed. Berseria is pretty different, like the way.
Yeah, you alluded to the story wise.
From the let's start there. From the story perspective, right? Like, Berseria is a dark revenge.
It's a revenge
story.
plot. Yeah.
Yeah. It is not. You don't really feel good about it.
Not going on an adventure.
There's still like lighthearted moments. There's still funny character interactions, but it is from the very beginning. Within the first hour of the game, you're like, "Oh, I get it." Like this lady is pretty upset.
She's pretty pissed off.
Justifiably. And the nice thing about that is I feel like it's got villains, like, or a villain, or villains, I guess, that you can understand, right? Like, you're like, oh, this thing that they did sure does suck, but I do understand why they did it, and it was like a greater good sort of deal.
So sympathetic villains, okay.
Sympathetic villains, and, you know, a main character who feels more villainous sometimes than the villains do.
Oh, so gray area, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited personally for this remaster that's coming out.
Very different than most every other Tales.
That's what really like sold me on that game when I played it too, because it's one of my favorite like Tales of games, just because of like the nuances with the story itself. Like it's very, you know, it's a very interesting. And I love villains who aren't necessarily like, it's like, it feels like, not necessarily we're gonna compare this to Xenogears, but like it's that same concept of like, you see where they're coming from, you know what happened that led them down this road. They're still villains, so like they're still bad, but there's like some empathy that you can feel towards like certain types. Like,
it's like I could see if I was in their position, I might do the same thing they did, kind of deal.
Yeah,
and that's cool. I think that's better than to me. That's better than like this villain is evil and we need to kill the evil. You know,
exactly. It makes for like a more dynamic story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the combat in Berseria, I want to say, is a bit different as well.
Yeah.
It's not as technical, so I don't put it in the same category as like Zestiria and Graces.
It's easier to button mash.
Yeah, it's like it puts the arts on the face buttons, right? I'm trying to remember. It's been a couple of years since I played it. I think all the face buttons are taken up with different art attacks. So it is a bit different, a bit of a departure on the gameplay side too. And I don't think they stuck with that because Arise is again very different than Berseria was. And I'm kind of curious, like, Dallah, you've played Arise?
Yes.
Okay. I'm kind of curious, like, what you think. You know, they put out Tales of Arise, was it 2021?
Yeah, it was like the first
came out.
It was one of the first games
It was the first like JRPG type game for the PS5, I think at the time. Like a brand new like game.
And this was a series that was cranking out games every couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, there were 3 or 4 of them on the PS3. Like we said, it was a JRPG wasteland, but they were still cranking them out on the regular.
Yeah.
Hit the PS4, it slowed down a little bit. You just got Zestiria, which also was on PS3, and Berseria, which was that also on PS3 in Japan?
What? I don't know actually.
It might be.
I'm not sure about that. I think Zestiria was, but I'm not
sure.
But
that's when I think they started doing more remasters, right? To sprinkle in there.
After Berseria?
I'm thinking like, you know, Vesperia.
Oh right, yeah, they
all
did.
Those.
That kind of started that trend. That was after. That was after Arise, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't remember.
It was after Arise where they brought back Vesperia and like Symphonia, I think.
Then that started the remaster.
The trend.
Then full throttle. Yeah.
Which Vesperia was good because that was an Xbox exclusive and I didn't have Xbox.
Yeah.
So.
Glad they brought that over.
But with Arise, like I feel like they took steps to make it more of a AAA feeling experience.
It does feel like a AAA, yeah.
It's a much fancier looking game.
Yeah. It's a very beautiful.
But I wonder if that threw them off balance or something because they haven't made a new Tales of game in 5 years now.
Yeah.
So it took a while to do the DLC too, right?
I'm worried.
Was it 6 months or a year?
No, it's like a while. Like it was actually like over a year, I think.
Was it over a year? Okay.
It was like a couple of years because like I remember
like 2
when it
years
came out.
After.
Yeah, because like I remember it like when they announced the DLC, I was like, oh my god, I don't remember anything about Rise at this point. I'm like it's been years since I played it. I'm like I would need to like brush up what happened. Like I can't just jump into this DLC all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think it's a mistake having the Arise sort of like care and longer development cycles for this franchise? My worry,
my worry from that perspective is like I don't want them to fall into the whole like Square Enix Final Fantasy like crutch, like where they're just going to be like, well, now we need to make this a AAA game. Like people are expecting that since we did it with Arise, it needs to look beautiful. We need to take advantage of like the PS5 and all these things that we need to do. And I'm just like, all right, like yes, Tales of Arise was beautiful. It's hard to step back from that. Like it's hard to move like back to like a double A.
Put the genie back in the bottle.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it. Like, you can't really do that once you've made a game that looks as good as Arise does for a Tales gift game.
I feel like the consolidation price has been the remasters, right? Like you're still getting the same games again, but we're still keeping a lid on and cooking the new one for you guys.
There are series that I think quality over quantity is key. Yes. I am willing to wait longer for certain games than I am, because I want them to be good. Tales, to me, and I would say Trails is also in this category, I prefer quantity over quality. And by quality, I don't mean like storytelling. Obviously, storytelling
it's not like a bad game.
But it's like
we don't need a new engine every time.
I don't need a brand new engine every game. Like, I want the games to come out with a regular cadence. Tales of is very much in that camp for me, where it's like, you should be putting out a game every 18 months to 2 years. Like, that's how you keep momentum going with a series like Tales, is you got to keep them coming. So I don't know what's going on there. They're trying to, regain some of that momentum with the remasters, but that's only going to carry you so far, right? Because, like, these aren't new games. They're new for some people, but like for series fans, they're not new games.
No.
So
they're going to lose the veteran fans, adopt newer ones who may or may not be as loyal.
And the difficulty with like Tales of it from that perspective is that like since it's kind of like an anthology, like Final Fantasy, like each game is going to be its own like telling, so they can't really reuse assets and things like that. So like if they have like a really expensive engine that takes like you have to make really high quality assets, you have to do all these things that you're doing with it. If you're having to like every game that you create is then going to add much more work to that. So like that's I think the hard part.
Well, do you think they'll start doing more sequels like Tales of Arise 2 or like what they did with Exilia? Like they had like a direct sequel because if they wanted to reuse those assets, that's one way to quicken production.
I mean, they might. And honestly, like if that keeps the cadence up, I'm okay with it.
Do it.
As long as the quality of story. I mean, you're never
the character writing needs to be there.
Yeah, the character writing. As long as
needs to still be there. But if we're using assets, if creating a more persistent world for like a sub-series is what it takes to get that cadence back, I would be okay with it.
Yeah, I think so. I think most fans would. Like, I don't think they expect everything has to be brand new,
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. How do you guys feel about, I guess, the remaster trend that we've talked about at the beginning of the podcast, but like, how is it unfolding? Like, what do you think the fan perception is of it right now? Is it positive, negative, net neutral?
I think it depends on the announcement. It depends on the day.
It does.
Because like with the Berseria announcement, there was a lot of like just negativity around that because of like
anger. Yeah.
It coming out on the PS4, and which is already backwards compatible with the PS5. So I was like, why would you need that? The nice thing about it is that you are getting a Switch 2 release for it. So like
also on those systems, PS4, you couldn't record, right, or take screenshots. They locked that.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And also, it includes all the DLC stuff if you're into costumes, which I think a lot of people are into the costumes for these types of games. Mm-hmm. And it's just lowering the price. Like, I know it's not going to be like super discount, like maybe the game was like before the announcement, but it's setting just a standard price, and eventually it'll go lower, like all Bandai Namco games do.
Right?
It's starting at $40, and then eventually it'll go down to $20, $15.
Yeah, like these games, they're going to sell for pretty
very quickly.
cheap.
They get discounted.
They will drop pretty fast. So like people just, I mean, it's also giving like a lot of people maybe missed out on those games, and maybe they don't want to play a PS4 game, so they'd rather just buy a game for the PS5. So like this is an opportunity for them to be able to.
That's what I plan on doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's good. I am sympathetic to the hardcore fans that are like, hey, this is the best opportunity to bring us some of these games we never got.
I know.
Which maybe they are, but like we've said, I don't know if we've said it on the show or just in conversation with each other. It's like they probably are doing that, but that's going to take longer. Like Berseria is easy to turn around as a remaster really quick.
Yeah,
like, that's not complicated. It's not taking up their resources to do this, right?
They farm out those remasters.
Yeah.
It's not the same team doing them.
And
Bandai Namco's
and it's
pretty big, like as a company. Like they do have a pretty sizable like development team across the different like areas that they work on. So like there could be like specific teams that are working on like, you know, something that they could have been working on this for like years now, and it's going to take a while to bring out, like, because like if they're retranslating, like, you know, they're not going to use like fan translations. So they're probably, if they're bringing games that never came out here, there's a whole, you know, time that goes into translating it correctly, localizing, doing whatever you need to do.
And they want to change the systems. Like if they want to do a full-on remake to make some quality of life improvements, and
that's true. Mm-hmm. You don't know what we're getting with them. Like they might just do a full-on remake.
Yeah. Honestly, I think a lot of them might be full-on remakes, because especially if someone's starting from like a Rise or even like the recent remasters, if it's like a drop in like, you know, accessibility of the combat, I think a lot of people will just be like, the series is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to go backwards.
I have a lot of nostalgia for that like classic look, but not everybody does. You know, like the majority of the market, I would say today, doesn't have that nostalgia baked in. So like it's going to at best be a nothing. It's at best not going to influence somebody's decision to purchase one way or the other. At worst, it's going to be a turnoff. So, it makes more sense to, if you're going to put effort into one of these games, just remake it from the ground up, make it modern, you know. My
only like other side of the spectrum for this is that with these games, you don't have an option, at least from the US perspective, to play the original. So like with a lot of remakes that we do get, you can always be like, well, if you don't like the remake, you can play the original. Since there isn't that option, like without, you know, going through means like emulation and whatever it needs, you know, whatever you need to do with that, like there's no like legal way to go through and just play it. Like, so like it would be nice if they were able to kind of do both.
We've seen that a little bit.
Did.
Yeah. Like give you like a port of like the original that is translated, and so that way you can play the original if you need to. But
you
then,
see
like,
the same thing with Lunar too. There's a
into...
classic version, and Tactics they did, I think, classic version too. It's more of not necessarily like it was graphically, but also like how the localization was. But.
Yeah, exactly. It's like give those options are like I think key. Like
it does,
especially
add time,
for those
though,
who
to develop two different versions of game.
Yep. Yeah, it does make time. That's probably, it could be why it's taking so much time, because maybe they're seeing that. Who knows,
right? Like unless they are truly not planning to go back before the PS2.
Yeah, that's also a possibility.
Remake or remaster any of those. It's possible they might not be.
Yeah,
like I think Abyss is guaranteed. We're probably going to see at least
Abyss is for sure. Abyss is the next one.
Remaster.
That's the next one they announced.
Based off all of the merch they're making.
They kind of soft announced Xillia 2.
They announced that. Yeah, that's coming.
I acknowledge that's coming. So I think Abyss is the next one that they announced.
I think this is probably after Xillia 2.
I could see them doing like PS1 like collections, maybe like a Destiny collection or whatever like that.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Like maybe they're willing to do something similar, but they have been really weird about sequels coming out at the same time. It's like, you know, we've had. It's like they're not giving us like, you know, Symphonia. I mean, not Symphonia. Was it Symphonia?
Dawn of the New World or
Dawn of the World. We didn't get a remaster. One. Yeah, we didn't get that when we didn't do Xillia 2 is up in limbo right now. We don't know when that's going to happen.
Do you think
they've been a little weird about it.
Could that be on a collection with other games of that era that Bandai Namco owns? I don't know if they do.
I mean, if they want to do like maybe like a classic collection of like, they kind of just put together some of the more classical games that like don't take up a lot of room, but like as long as they have like an English, like an English version of it.
You know what I would love? This is not going to happen, but I would love this. You know how there are games coming out now that are sort of like almost documentaries about a series?
Ooh,
you know, the Atari 50 and some of these other things where they lovingly emulate these classic games, put them all together, have interviews with the developers and like stories about I think that doing a classic Tales of collection from Fantasia all the way through the PS1 era, putting those all together in like a nice package and just emulate them as they were, translate them into English for the ones that we didn't get, and give us that. You don't have to like go nuts and remake them. I think that would be a really cool way to allow us to play them and, you know, respect the legacy of the series.
I wish every developer, publisher just did that with their back catalog, especially with like, let's say the Pixel remasters would have been nice to have like that be like a kind of like interactive documentaries. Like Digital Eclipse is like, they're a special breed of like developers, publishers that are like very passionate about the games that they choose. Like there's a lot of passion in like not just the games, but like where the games came from, how they were developed, like the story behind everything. And I think with like within the JRPG space, I don't know if there's anybody who like kind of fits that like narrative, because I think Bandai Namco is going to want to do it with like more economical perspective since they have such a large backlog.
I think most of the documentaries you see are like on YouTube.
Yeah.
So like very short little interviews. It's not extensive.
And I don't know, like I've not seen a lot of Japanese like developer publishers like take that like.
They don't.
No, I've only seen it for some Final Fantasies.
It's very much like a Western thought process. I think with like Digital Eclipse and some of these things, like they kind of like hone in on that. Like there are like collections they've done.
Like movies, the second disc with like behind the scenes or like the director's cut, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese publishers, the JRPG publishers, they didn't even hold on to the games.
That's true.
You know, like they don't have the source code, they don't have assets.
Release them. It's gone.
They, like I said, they ritualistically burn them after the game comes out.
Allegedly.
No
By
record,
Branden.
No record will be found of these games.
It happened. They made sure they took the intern with it. So like they just
anybody who saw they're no longer with us. No, they don't have.
It's a Viking funeral for them.
I don't know if it's like a cultural thing, but it's like there doesn't seem to be as much preservation, at least at that time in the 90s and early the 2000s. Maybe it's changing now. I don't think it will ever change with a company like Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't view their products as art; they view it as toys for kids. So I don't think they'll ever take that level of care with it.
Unfortunately.
But other companies hopefully will, you know, especially as, you know, people that are working at Bandai Namco now on the Tales of series are probably in large part kids that grew up playing the Tales of games.
Who are fans,
you know?
like legitimate fans.
So they're fans. They're working on the series that they grew up loving. And that's the case across companies throughout the industry. We are seeing fans take over, the roles, and they still have the original people are still there, and they're still guiding the ship more or less. But like a lot of them are being very explicit about going a little more hands off and letting the younger generation kind of lead it. So maybe we see more care given to these older projects because a lot of the people working on them are people that grew up with them and really do care about them. I hope
and like it's not to say like there aren't Japanese developers out there who have a passion to like for like old games and like things like that. So like there's like, you know, teams like the M2 team, like M2, which like My Life in Gaming did a documentary on that because they like visited there. But like they do, they kind of focus a lot on like shoot 'em ups and like, you know, they also did like I think the version of Phantasy Star Online for the Sega. What do they call it? Sega. The one on the Switch, like for the digital games that they made for like the Sega.
Oh, Phantasy Star 1, not Phantasy.
Yeah, Fantasy Star. No, sorry, no. Fantasy Star.
Okay.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah. So, the Sega Ages.
Yeah, Sega Ages. So like they have like a passion for like not only just like porting these games over, but they kind of like almost recreate the games to like fit. Like they run really well and they add quality of life improvements to it, and they do have like some extras they will add there. So there is passion in certain people there. But I think in the JRPG space, it's just like I've never seen that.
Yeah,
like
it's not
take
as well
place
represented.
Not yet.
Not yet. Like I feel like someone needs to do.
I think they're just decided to make the next game, but though we haven't seen a lot more remasters, remakes happening from these passionate people, so maybe that's how they want to extend the legacy. You know, not archiving the past, but like producing it forward.
Exactly.
So new generations could adopt it. So it's more like, I don't know, kind of like like tradition almost, but through media.
Through media, yeah. And that's like, with remasters and stuff like that, it's like always like it's an iffy situation because like there's in the past there's been so many like just phone it in with a remaster. So like I want to I feel like Bandai Namco's gotten their footing after dealing with like Symphonia's like some fallout with Symphonia and stuff like that.
They were testing the waters a little bit, like how
exactly.
little do we
how much should we invest in this
about this before people get mad? And I think they're finding people do care. Like
yeah, people do care. So like
I think so.
Yeah. So I think we're in a good place, and for the future,
and maybe for the sprite-based ones, we'll see some HD 2D sort of like.
I would love them.
I think that would be really neat. An easy way. I think that's become popular, so I feel like it's going to just catch on more before people get tired of it.
if they took a number from Star Ocean, like Star Ocean Second Story, the remake they did that was like it's HD 2D, but like it's like a little bit more like.
Detailed backgrounds.
Vibrant, detailed, things like that.
Yeah,
it's like,
again, like, and I know I've said this before, but HD 2D is it's just a branding for a very generalized style, which is 2D sprites on 3D backgrounds, which has technically been a thing since the PS1. Like, I
mean, Xenogears was basically that.
There are games that are 2D sprites on 3D backgrounds that look drastically different than other games with that same setup.
Exactly.
So like, so Star Ocean Second Story R looks very different than like Octopath Traveler. So like Bandai Namco could have some style in mind for these older games. That's their own.
I hope they can come up with their own styling for that, like something that's like truly what they believe like Tales of needs to look like for that era. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. I know it's gonna happen at some point. Like I feel like everyone needs to like don't worry. I think like they seem like they know what their fans want. Like everyone's been very vocal and they've heard it because like the fact that they like released that trailer of like, hey, don't worry.
They keep making new announcements about what they want to do for this 30th anniversary. So I think they are accommodating.
I
know some people are thinking, they're just kind of saying things so we don't keep complaining. But I think that doesn't make sense from a business point of view, just to keep lying to fans.
Yeah, most companies will stay silent if they're not going to do anything.
Silence is more deafening.
They'll mostly, exactly.
Tales of fans, if we do get a remaster remake of like say Tales of Fantasia or Tales of Eternia or something, we have to support that. Like
exactly.
We have to show them that yes, we do want that, because if we manufacture some reason to be annoyed or upset by that, they're going to say, okay, we don't want those older games. We just want the PS2,
the new
PS3,
ones,
and onward.
Take years to develop Tales of Arise 2 or whatever it is, the next one.
Yeah.
So even if Tales of Fantasia comes out and there's something about it that bugs you, like see if you can swallow the bile and just deal with it. Give them your feedback. Right?
Criticism is necessary.
Give them their feedback and let them know what you'd like to see different.
Don't boycott. That's all we're saying.
Boycotting it is going to have the opposite effect. It's going to stop them from making.
Like if you don't want to buy it, that's fine. Also, we're not telling you to spend money for a game you don't want.
If you legitimately don't want the game, don't buy it.
But as a whole, as a fandom, the only reason
we have to show support. Yeah.
Exactly. The only reason you'd ever want to boycott a game is if they truly just phoned it in and they put they lost everything. It's that's how you kind of show them hey,
I don't want this. Stop making
do better. Do better with this.
In that case, if they're just gonna phone in these classic games, boycotting would make sense, and then they would just not make them. But I think we would agree that we would rather not have them.
Don't distort the past, especially if we can, get fan translations or other ways to emulate the classics.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day,
we have options here. Options.
Yeah. There are options out there.
I really just mean if it's just one little thing that you're up in arms about, it doesn't have.
Or I don't like the language they used in this.
Different rated.
They use
bleebling or whatever tech term. I don't know. Make something.
If it's
they don't have the child being pierced at the beginning. It's censored. Whatever that is in that one game.
And also,
Xenosaga, yeah.
Oh no! I think Berseria, right? Isn't there some
yes.
Yeah, they censored. Yeah,
they censored the child being destroyed there.
Or,
But also remember that in that context is that like ratings have changed over the years,
Yes.
and they also want to keep it at a rating where it will sell enough copies that can sell to like most anybody, like whether they are like teenagers or adults or whatever it is. So they're not censoring for the sake of like censorship. Yeah, like if that makes sense. It's like they're censoring it for like monetary reasons. Like they want to make the most money. Well. Yeah, they want it to do well. They want to be able to sell it.
This.
They want to move product, and they can't move product if like it's like the same thing with movies. Like movies will pick and choose like what they put into it if they don't want to get an R rating. Like they will make it a point to not want to do an R rating if they want to like cater to, you know, the box office and get
their target audiences. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why you almost never see blood in a Marvel movie because they want to be PG-13.
They censored that.
Mm-hmm. Very rare. Yeah, most like what. There was a recent movie that like it was like a redo of something. I don't remember what it was, but like they took it from an R to a PG-13, and that's just normal. Like it's just business at that point. Like
you could complain about it, but I don't know.
Yes, definitely. It's always let. Like
we don't like
Namco,
art.
I think asks for feedback, and
I think art's being censored and other things being censored. Not so good, but minor things.
Censorship for censorship's sake is not okay. Like at the end of the day, like if you're doing it just for the actual act of censorship, then like unless it's something that's like truly horrifying.
Well, it's also like the word censorship is kind of thrown around. Like,
I know it's like
when I think of censorship, I think of like the government saying you can't have this in your media. We're going to censor it. Whereas this is the company themselves being like, we don't want to do this.
It's not.
We decided to remove this because of various reasons.
It's less censorship because, like, I don't feel like we have as much, like back in the day, there were like people overseeing it, and there'd be like there was like regulations that would censor, like, hey, like we see these things, like you have to remove this stuff. Like nowadays, it's more of the business making those decisions so that they can fit into those like buckets. It's like not like.
Sales
the artists,
expectations.
the creators of the products are probably okay with it because they want their game to sell.
Exactly. So
if they're upset about it, they say, no, we are doing M rating. And then they'll do an M rating.
Yeah, and there are like
M-rated games
creators that are like, we are going to do this the way we want to do it. And hey, that's good. I think that's great. But like, it's also fine to sell your game as a, you know. Anyway, but that's a whole.
I feel like we're going all over.
I think we are a little bit tangenty here.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think we are all excited for the future of Tales. We hope that the new installment of the franchise, rather than just a remake or a remaster, will be revealed soon. Maybe this year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it seems like we're going to have a fountain of remakes potentially and plenty of remasters to look forward to if you haven't experienced them or you want to re-experience them in a new light.
I'm excited. Yeah.
But I guess to wrap up today's episode, thanks everyone for listening and all that, and for all of our channel members for helping support us monetarily.
Appreciate you.
To make the show release every week. Yes. we thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for all the support.
And we have a lot of exciting things on the podcast, so stay tuned for next week's episode. And we also have a few spoiler casts coming up.
Yeah.
So any Trails fans, not to be confused with Tales, sorry.
Trails.
We will probably be doing a spoiler cast related to the newest entry of that coming out in the future, we're hoping. And we also have the new Digimon game, Digimon Story Time Stranger spoiler cast coming at some point, probably in the next 2 months.
In the next couple, but before the end of March.
Before the end of
March.
Yeah,
think of it as like end of Q1.
I haven't played it. They've both played it. I have not played it yet.
I want to play more DLC before we talk about it.
Yeah, so, I might refresh my memory a little bit.
We gotta wait for the waves to come out.
Exactly. Yeah. I might do some like replaying of certain areas.
And I haven't done all the sides content, and I would like to get more of my Digimons and my field guide. So
exactly. So
plenty of time to play it.
But
that's coming soon. Anything else? We do our monthly Q&A for Pursuer Plus members.
Yeah, we did our first one. It was fun.
It was just fun.
We talked about some interesting topics, like who we would kiss, kill, or marry in Final Fantasy.
The censored version of that is,
the more PG version.
The PG version.
The PG version.
Yeah,
hey, that's how it was
version, but you all
presented
know
to
what
us.
It really is, right?
Yeah.
But which Final Fantasy games we would put in those categories. It was fun.
Yeah.
So we had a nice hour
some
chat.
interesting
and some other after show content, of course.
Yeah, so look forward to that every month. It won't be a consistent day. I think we've said we'll be scheduling it monthly, and then we'll let you know
and that's
the date
live
in advance.
That's when you get to catch us live to talk about things. If you
Yeah,
are
we
our
do
first
that
year
live.
plus member.
And then we keep that up as a VOD
As a VOD.
for anyone who wants
VOD.
to check it out later. So
Yep, they're archived on our live tab. But
So-
anyways, hope you guys all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this.
and
And
enjoy
until next week.
trails coming out.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.